When I first watched this anime, I thought, man, it's just another slice of life cooking show. You know, the basic stuff, except this time they're butchering dungeon monsters for ingredients. I was like, nah fam, I'm done with this shit, but damn, never have I been so wrong. As the characters go deeper into the dungeon, they started uncovering hidden stories and mysteries that are darker than your mom's basement. Like the ghosts they used to mix her bed. Yeah, turns out they're actually the spirit of the Golden Country former residents. And the golems? Apparently they're great for farming vegetables, loaded with all the minerals plants need to strive. Now that's some next level golem farming. Am I right, guys? And trust me, that's just the tip of the iceberg. And as if the dungeon secrets weren't unsettling enough, wait till you get a load of these creatures lurking in its depths. Take Walking Armor Suit, which gets this, are actually creatures that act like clams but are technically hermit crabs. Imagine them doing some Power Ranger assembling thing while they're slowly stabbing your guts. Then there are mushrooms that supposedly end racism, and giant mosquitoes that offers, let's just say, extra service if you know what I mean. And dragons. Wait, scratch that. Hot dragon. Then we've got treasure chest bugs, fan service harpies, and for the vegans out there who still crave meat, screw tofu, we got boromeds, a sheep plant that grows in the ground and tastes just like meat. There are also bladefish, living paintings, tentacles because of course anime, phoenix, sea serpent, griffins, mimics, and the list is endless. And the best part? They cook it all. Except for the gargoyles and golems, unless, you know, you're from Kazakhstan. Not only that, there's magic that brings people back from the dead. Okay, I know that sounds pretty basic. Nobody gives a fuck about resurrection spells anymore. Shut the hell up and let me cook. In this anime, there's no such thing as a revival magic. Instead, they heal the body directly because once you're inside the dungeon, it's literally forbidden to die completely. Your soul stay bound into your body even if you're technically a corpse until it decays into sticks and bones. Once that happens, the connection between your soul and body gets so weak you can't even make a comeback. Unless of course you're a heretic. But hey, what protagonist wouldn't break a few rules for the power of friendship, right? Huh, gay! They've even got magic that lets you walk on the water. Convenient, right? No need to swim from point A to point B. Yeah, we know! Naruto did that first! And then we've got elf magic, genome magic, remorse, and forbidden dark magic.
Why are we still here? Just to suffer?
But what good is all that magic without a world full of wild, wacky creatures to use it on, right? And trust me, this world does not disappoint. We've got tall men, basically normies, half-foot hobbits, but somehow even less charming. Dwarves, short, angry, and ready to smash something. Gnomes, same height but with extra sass. Elves, tall, pointy ears, you know it all, who's probably been around too long to care. Then there's this beastman, half human, half furry, kobolds, dogu that walks on two legs, ogres or orcs, big, dumb, and mostly muscles. And finally, the ancients so powerful and wise, they'll give you a migraine just by talking. We've got every fantasy race you can imagine. But what's the point again if you don't have a party of completely weirdos to explore it? That's where our heroes come in, each one stranger than the last. Starting with Laois, our monster-obsessed maniac, and the so-called leader of the chaotic party. There are only two things you need to know about him: food and monsters. This guy is so obsessed, he idolizes his sister after she turns into a half-baked dragon monster.
Coolest thing I've ever seen!
And he doesn't just admire monster, he wants to eat them. Walking mushroom, down to the hash. Treasure bugs, tasty. Giant parasite? Bring it on! He's even thought about eating demi-human monsters, though his party usually stops him before he goes full-on cannibal mode. But in the end, they all dig in together, like one big twisted family dinner. But don't let his monster-eating fetish fool you. Laois is actually a skilled fighter and a pretty solid leader. He's got all the random monster knowledge, biology, mythology, you name it, and he uses it to come up with techniques to beat them. When they're up against dragons, he ratting off dragons facts like Bing. Calm, gentle, and way too enthusiastic about creatures that most people would rather kill on sight. Laois somehow holds his team together even if he drives them a little crazy. Despite his social awkwardness, he's not naive. He knows exactly how dangerous monsters are, and he's actually more cautious than your average normal adventurer. Like the time his dwarf buddy Senshi introduced a kelpie named Annie and swore it was safe. Laois was ready to kill it on the spot, but he's too smart enough not to start a fight with Senshi, so he lets the dwarf ride the thing, and shocker, it goes south fast. And did I mention he's an optimist? You won't believe this. This guy actually said that if his sister Falin hadn't been eaten by the dragon, they'll never discover the delight of a holy water sorbet. Cue the awkward silence there. And then there was a time a succubus mosquito attacked them. Yeah, just don't ask. And it showed everyone their deepest desire. Well, the other were seeing their wildest dream. Laois? His vision was Marcille, one of his party members. Go figure. Speaking of Marcille, the classic tsundere elf of the group. She's loud, complains about everything, and always has that "I'm not that mad okay" vibe. But don't get me wrong, she's actually, how do we put this? A very nice person. Marcille is a powerful mage and take her craft seriously. She's obsessed with knowledge and will do anything to protect the people she loves, even if it means diving into dark magic. She knows it's risky and that it could have terrible after effects, but when it comes to saving her friends, she's all in deep down. Marcille has a huge fear of losing the people around her. As a half-elf, she's destined to outlive almost everyone, which gives her some serious abandonment issues. She's terrified of the idea of one day everyone she loves will be goners, and she'll end up alone and sad and is that there and all that stuff and crying and yeah, typical long-lived people problems. This fear is so intense it even gives her nightmares about losing her friends. Fortunately, the gang helps her cope with a little therapy. Yeah, she needs therapy. But more exercise, a regular daily routine, and a balanced diet. You know, the basic shit. Thanks to them, she's starting to have a new addiction of copium. Marcille can also be a little naive. She genuinely believes that friendship alone can keep the party together. And she's constantly trying to learn more about her party members' personal lives, especially when it comes to Chilchuck, a resident rogue and the guy you definitely shouldn't judge by appearance. At first glance, he looks like he has no clue what birds and beasts are. But plot twist, this dude is old enough to call him daddy. Literally. He's got a wife, kid, and the whole 9 yards. Despite looking like someone's clueless kid brother, Chilchuck, a seasoned veteran, and as a half-foot, he doesn't exactly have the longest lifespan. His people don't live as long as the tall folks, so they make every year count. Don't let his size fool you, his rogue skills are top-notch, and they're what keep this party from getting wiped out by dungeon traps. He's got the enhanced half-foot senses dialed up to 11, which means he can spot danger before it becomes a "you're dead now" kind of a problem. Shrewd and practical, Chilchuck doesn't take on jobs unless he's paid in advance, a habit he picked up from years of being exploited as a half-foot. He knows the game, and he's not here to get played. And while the rest of the party is always sharing their life stories, Chilchuck keeps his personal life on lockdown. He believes that the quickest way to tear a party apart is through romantic drama, so he keeps things strictly business because he's not an incel. is a Giga-chan. As for monster cuisine, he's a little more open to it than Marcille, but he draws the line at anything remotely human-like. Chilchuck might be practical, but even he has standards. That's why Senshi always prepared dishes to skip the demi-human. Senshi, the Gordon Ramsay of the dungeon.
They're nice and thick, dense, creamy.
Without him, this party would starve, or worse, end up as a monster's lunchly. He's the type who just show up in a shady alley in Italy offering his service as a cook. Yeah, the party thought it was a little weird at first, but they're not complaining now. Because if you got Senshi around, even a disgusting giant scorpion turns into a 5-star meal. Walking mushroom, more like a walking mushroom hotspot. Giant tapeworm, grill it up, kabiyaki style. And if your worst nightmare has a face, don't worry, Senshi can steam it in sake and serve it as dinner. Stick with this guy, and the last thing you'll have to worry about is malnutrition. Senshi isn't just a party chef, he's also a total purist. He's been cooking and eating monsters for 10 years, and he's developed his whole philosophy around it. He only speaks when necessary, believes in giving back to the dungeon for everything he takes, and got seriously annoyed when others don't respect the dungeon's resources. This guy is a traditional as fuck. Kind of like those old neighbors that force you to go inside their house and force you to eat.
I got a whole freezer full of popsicles.
You'll be the judge of that, depending on what country you're in. And while he doesn't fuzz much over his own gears, you'll never catch him neglecting his cooking knives. He sharpens those things religiously and treats his cooking tools like a sacred artifacts. Battle axe? They can rust, but his chef's knife? Absolutely pristine. But don't be fooled by his rough exterior. Senshi is the kind of a guy who looks out for everyone in the party, making sure they're fed, healthy, and taken care of. Beneath the gruff, no sense of demeanor, he's probably the warmest and the most caring person you'll ever met in a dungeon. Honestly, he's the real waifu material. Sorry Marcille, you're not winning this one. Speaking of waifu, let's talk about Izutsumi. Look, I don't care about your traditional waifu standards. She's rough, she's blunt, and yeah, she's still a work in progress. But screw the norm, if power can be considered as a waifu material, and so does she. And she knows it, I think. She's standoffish and self-centered, and she makes no apologies for it. She's blunt as hell, especially when she's unhappy, which, let's be real, is most of the time. She's got terrible table manners, she's a picky eater, and if there's a task she doesn't want to do, she'll offload it to someone else without a second thought. But slowly, she's starting to warm up to the folks. They're teaching her a thing or two about teamwork, with Marcille leading the charge on getting her to play nice. Bit by bit, she's learning that working with others might not be the worst thing in the world. Her real motivation, though, is a little deeper. She's cursed, wrapped in a form that isn't fully human, and her goal is to lift that curse and become normie again. That's why she sticks with the party, joining them on their quest to beat the Dungeon Lord and save Falin. She's not exactly the most cooperative team player, but as long as it gets her closer to breaking the curse, she's in for the ride. So yeah, maybe she's not your typical waifu, but she's got layers, dude. Honestly, that's what makes her worth rooting for. If Izutsumi is a rough around the edge waifu, then Falin is the angelic self-sacrificing queen we all secretly wish we had. No question. She's an angel straight from heaven. Call me a simp if you want, but this woman deserves it. She's the queen of dragons if you ask me. Falin is so kind that even the dead simp for her. She's caring, considerate, and honestly a little reckless. Case in point, she's actually let herself become the dragon's midnight snack, just to revive her dead party members and teleport them to safety outside the dungeon. That's right, she literally sacrificed herself to save her friends. Marcille may be worried sick about her, but Falin's right there with her brother, ready to try eating monsters with a big smile on her face. Falin is a pro player when it comes to no magic system. Specializing in recovery and exorcism, she's the party's unofficial priest, bringing everyone back from the brink with her spells. After Marcille used some highly illegal magic to revive her, Falin come back stronger than ever, with enhanced mana, physical abilities, and a body made partly of a dragon's flesh. So yeah, she's kind of a big deal now. But honestly, what makes Falin stands out isn't her magic, her skills, or even her queenly title, except for that one scene over there. It's how wholesome she is. She's so nice that even when Shuro confessed his feelings, she didn't even reject him outright. She let him down gently because there were still 97 chapters left in the story and we don't want to end it right there, you know? And I found something really juicy from Reddit. Spoilers territory, so I'll just link the full tea into the description down below if you're curious about it. Come on, don't tell me this isn't a fantasy anime you'd want to watch. We've got everything: wild creatures, lovable weirdos, insane magic, and even the chance to rule the Golden City if you defeat the ultimate bitch. Yeah, you heard me. If you defeat this crazy mage, and you're not just some regular king. You're the king of the legendary land with unlimited access to all-you-can-eat wish buffet, courtesy to the ancient being. But there's a twist, and trust me, you'll want to see it for yourself. I'm not supposed to give my opinion, but hey, give it a try and then tell me if it's good or bad. Not convinced yet? Okay, I'll cut you a deal. The story actually has layers as you watch or read through each chapters. You'll find yourself coming face to face with some real-life lessons and mind-blowing realizations. And I promise you, and I swear to my left nut, that this anime is breathtaking. And that's all.